like I said, I was teasing it there. Big news here in the SEC, something we touched on this week because Stetson Bennett has made it official. He is returning for another season in Athens, the hero of the national championship game, the offensive MVP for the Bulldogs, coming back for one more ride. And it's very interesting. Never in my life have I seen a quarterback, and we shouldn't really maybe highlight a select few, but it's just wild that a player of this caliber that has accomplished so much decides to return, and we got a portion of the fan base unhappy, and maybe it had to do with the fact because that wasn't the only news. Receiver Jermaine Burton, one of the go-to guys, the deep threat for the Georgia Bulldogs, he entered the transfer portal. He is leaving Georgia, and JT Daniels did that as well in the lead up to Stetson Bennett's decision. Now, obviously, I think JT Daniels' decision is probably closely related to the fact that Stetson Bennett is making the decision to come back. Don't know if Jermaine Burton's decision is tied to Stetson Bennett or not, but it's certainly, you could argue that he was a little banged up this year, but there were several other options there in the Georgia offense that had top billing ahead of Burton, so maybe that had something to do with it. We'll get to that in just a second, but now it's on Stetson Bennett, and I'm not going to sit here and trash him because I was one of among the many that doubted him and wondering where in the hell's JT Daniels? Why is he not out there? He gives us a higher ceiling. Now, with the defense, again, it's not going to be in shamblers or anything. We still got Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, Glenn Schumann. I mean, the defense is going to be strong next year in Athens. I don't care who they got. Whether casual fans know their names or not, they're going to put 11 quality players on the field, and they're probably going to be backed up by some 4 and 5 stars next season in Athens. So the defense is going to be all right, but make no mistake, if Georgia's going to make it back to the SEC championship game, if Georgia's going to make it back to the college football playoff, and for Dog Nation hopefully win another title, it's going to have to be because the offense, which was very, very efficient, probably, it's crazy to think the national champions, their offense could have been horribly underranked, but it was all season. They're going to have to take it up even more because they're not going to have this all-time defense to cover up any mistakes like we saw Stetson Bennett in the SEC championship game. That came back to haunt you. The Florida game, was a slow one. Kentucky, slow one. I mean, these are games that Stetson Bennett is going to have to win instead of, potentially getting in the way of a win next season for the Georgia Bulldogs. But, how can you do anything but root for the guy that's been doubted his entire career? We all know the story, but now he's coming back, and hell, who knows? I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, but you got to consider him among the preseason candidates at the very least because he's coming back. He ain't coming back to go 8-4, 9-3. He's coming back to go undefeated, lead Georgia to a second national championship in a row. And with JT Daniels transferring out, it's undoubtedly Stetson Bennett's team. He's the best option. I know they got a couple of 5 stars behind him. They got Carson Beck still on the roster. Who knows? They may add a transfer. I think with Stetson Bennett making the decision to return, I think this is kind of what Stetson was alluding to with, he's got to put his trust in the coaches to back up their actions. And, I don't think they would guarantee him that, he's going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think you make that proclamation even after a national champion. You got to make everybody earn it. But at the same time, you got to believe that maybe what he was talking about was the fact that they're not going to bring in Caleb Williams or some other elite quarterback to come in here and compete for the starting role. It's going to be the guys that are on the roster. At least that's my read on it. But, after seeing so many people upset at this news, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him to take that next step in the development of his game because he played lights out for much of it. And, I've been one to credit Todd Monken time and time again for what he showed this season in Athens. And if they keep Todd Monken, which still no guarantee they will at this point, he may keep getting offers from the NFL, but I'm not hearing anything imminent on that if Todd Monken returns, Stetson Bennett is going to have a solid year. And let's not make it out like he's got no players to throw the ball to. I know, losing Burton sucks. He lost a couple other guys already to the portal this offseason in Athens, but you got Brock Bowers. I mean, he's All-American. You got A.D. Mitchell, one of the best freshmen in the entire country, not just the SEC. Ladd McConkey. I mean, how great was he this year out of nowhere? You still got Darnell Washington, Dominique Blaylock. Arian Smith is still there. I mean, there's plenty of targets there in Athens. I'm more concerned, and it's not even a huge concern because you got bodies there, but the offensive line, what's that going to look like? You got 2 NFL running backs off to the next level. So, this is a great piece. This is great news for Georgia. And this was the big story. Now, we'll just, I hope for his sake he doesn't tarnish his legacy. And anything we've seen on the field, I don't think that we will. And this may get us even closer to Georgia-Alabama rematch in the national championship game. But one quick thing I wanted to mention here with Jermaine Burton, as soon as he's hit the portal, speculation that Alabama and LSU will be 2 of the candidates he would jump to. Of course, Burton, he's a California native. Alabama completely rebuilding their receiving core with the trio of Jameson Williams, John Mechie, Slade Bolden off to the NFL. And we've got, if you follow recruiting, you probably know Jermaine Burton was committed to LSU. I believe he flipped on signing day to Georgia, obviously signed with the Bulldogs. Now his former receivers coach, Cortez Hankerton, is in Baton Rouge working for Brian Kelly. So, hey, do not be surprised if Jermaine Burton sticks in the SEC, goes to the west side of the division. But, hey, that'll just add a little bit more fuel to the fire if he goes to Alabama. And if he goes to LSU, they could certainly use him down there, I would think. And speaking of the Tigers,